Hi guys! I thought I would try the video blogging this week. I have been taking a page from Stephanie Chappelle of Glampire. She has long been one of my favorite designers, and she has started video blogging and also offering online classes. And so I'm hoping to take a class from her in her online studio soon, and will hopefully make me a better teacher and help me bring things to the internet as well. But this week I just wanted to try this out, so it's going to be just a little short video, and I wanted to go over something that I've been interested in for a while, which is taking a very basic pattern and plugging in a different stitch or a lace pattern or a cable or something to make it a little bit more your own. And I do this a lot with very simple patterns. I love to do it. One of my favorite things to knit, and I knit it for a gift all the time, is my mug wrap. It is by far the most popular thing that I've designed, which is incredible to me because I didn't expect it to be popular at all. And I've done probably 20 or 30 of these things by now, and hundreds of people have knitted on Ravelry, and lots of people have replaced really interesting either cables or a stitch pattern or something really cool to make it uniquely their own. So I'm knitting one for my friend Gavin out of Unique Sheep Super Wool, and it's in the Dani colorway, which I love. And I wanted to break up the striping a little bit, so I'm doing a really simple slip stitch pattern. It's actually the Eye of Partridge stitch, which you use like on heels and things like that. But it's worked out really well because you're slipping one, knitting one, and then on the alternate rows you're knitting the one that you slipped and slipping the one next to it, so it kind of staggers it. And what that does is that pulls yarn back behind your stitches, just like in a slip stitch pattern. So it actually makes the mug wrap even thicker, which is great, because then you really won't burn your fingers. And it does a really good job of breaking up any pooling or flashing or striping if you don't want it. And it makes it just kind of an all-over color. And these colors are so pretty together that I wanted to make sure that the all-over color worked. So I'm about halfway through knitting this one, and it's curling a little bit because it needs to be blocked. But you can sort of see that it's not flashing or pulling or anything, and all the colors work really well together. So I wanted to give you an example that that's just one thing that you can do, like without even needing a pattern. And all I do is work a 2-stitch garter ridge on each side, just to give it so when I block it, it should lay flat. And so that's a really simple one. It just takes my basic mug wrap pattern, not the square checked version, but just the basic one, and you can replace just about anything in there. The other thing I want to talk about is taking a stitch dictionary. This one's my favorite. This is Barbara Walker's Treasury of Knitting Patterns that my dad and my stepmom bought me last year for Christmas, and this book gets more use than anything else in my knitting library. Anyways, you can flip through here. The great thing about this is it gives you a little picture of what different things look like, and then it gives you directions on how to work that stitch. And for people who have never used a stitch dictionary, the way that these work is it will say multiple of 6 stitches plus 3. What that means is that you want a multiple of 6. So say you want 12. So you're going to do it in multiples of 6, and then you're going to add 3 to the end of that. You're not going to do 9. You're not going to do a multiple of 9. That screws people up a lot. And you can pick just about anything. You could pick a lace pattern, though that would be sort of silly for a mug wrap because the holes will burn your fingers. But cables are great because they're fun to look at, and they're a great way to dress up a otherwise boring yarn, like if you're using just a solid yarn. So say this one, this plate cable, this one right here, this plate cable takes a multiple of 13, and if you see here in the pictures, they've actually got 3 different cables that you can do, and they'll put the name underneath them. And pretty much every stitch dictionary works the same. Sometimes they have more than one thing in a picture, and sometimes they have it just by itself, depending on how complicated it is. But they all work the same way. They all give you the multiple that you need to work with, and then a picture of it, and sometimes they give you a chart, and sometimes they give you the written directions. I can knit from charts, but I don't like it. So I prefer the written out directions, which is why I love this book, because all of her stitches in here are done in written out version, which you can chart too if you want to. And in a future video blog, I'm going to go over different ways of making knitting charts using free stuff like Excel and a font download instead of having to buy a special program. So anyways, all you're going to do here, so say this plate takes 13 stitches. So if you've increased out to maybe 20 stitches, you're going to figure out on each side of that plate how many stitches are going to be worked in reverse stockinette, which is purl stitches. And then you're going to put that plate straight in the middle of it, and you're just going to work it the whole way up until you're ready to decrease down, and then you're going to work in stockinette. And that's about it. And then there you go. You've got your very own special cabled mug wrap or a headband. You could do the same thing in a sweater, in a panel on a sweater. It just happens to be especially easy in my mug wrap because it's just a plain pattern. So I hope you give that a try. And until the next time that we talk, happy knitting!